Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Gigi Disorder. Last time we met, we had gotten off track and it took us a couple weeks to get back on track, but we made it. We're back to base camp and we have a lot to do and a little time to do it. We are going to be limiting these videos. I'm setting a timer to 15 minutes and whatever we can get over in 15 minutes is what we're going to do, and we'll pick up next week. I need you to be able to get as much content out of this as possible, and I talk too much, so I don't want you dwindling off. The one thing I just ask, we're gonna limit them to 15 minutes. I want you, if you're preparing to take this journey with us, I want you to give yourself that time. You need to give yourself an hour a day to reflect and start this journey for yourself. So what is the journey? What are we doing here? So we're climbing Mount Everest. We are at base camp. Remember I told you we're preparing to climb this mountain. This is our mountain right here. We're at base camp. Mount Everest has 4 camps and then the summit. We're gonna climb this. We're gonna learn as we go along. We're gonna learn tools and skills. And when we get to the top, we're going to have a 360-degree view of a life worth living, and we can do whatever the hell we want. So, how are we going to do that? Well, we have 10 rules, if you will. There's kind of 10 things that I want to talk about that aren't really an option. You need to keep them in your mind. You need to set them in your head, and just when the going gets tough, you need to go to them. You need to think about all of these things, these 10 things, preparations, rules that we have to follow as we climb this mountain. When we very first met, when we first spoke, I said to you, my mother said to me, you are not allowed to die. Well, the universe said to me, you are not allowed to die. And my mother said, what do you want? And what I'm saying to you is, number 1, you are not allowed to die. What do you want? My answer to that was I needed to be free and safe. So I want you to think about this. We're climbing a mountain and we're not allowed to die. So avalanche hits. We can't die. Traditionally, when people with disorders are hit with issues, whatever they may be, avalanches, they kind of have a fight or flight mentality. And we don't get to do that. We are only going to fight. We are continually going to fight those avalanches because we are not allowed to die. So what do you want? You don't get to die. So in my opinion, you need to pick absolutely what is going to give you the best possible life. Some people may say money. Okay, that's not even on the table. What is it going to take in your life to change or to do to attain those other things? So for me, again, that was being free and being safe from a person, a situation, my own thoughts and feelings. So you don't have to know the answer right now. You can borrow mine. Free and safe. You are not allowed to die. I don't want hypothermia. Do you? I'm not laying under the snow and not fighting to get the hell out of the coldness. Is that a word? I don't think it is. Okay, number 1, you are not allowed to die. What do you want? Number 2, you have to be safe. If you are in a dangerous situation, whatever that means to you and your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and because this is about suicide for me, the thing that makes you want to die, the thing that causes your fight, flight, if you're in a dangerous situation, for me, I was in a dangerous marriage, and many years ago even, I was in a cycle of bad things and codependency and living for other people. And even then, I had to leave a dangerous situation because I wasn't able to control my life in that situation in any way. The first time, kind of family and life, and then the second time from a dangerous spouse. If you are in a dangerous situation, I know that you can't just leave. I know that that sounds impossible, but you have to start thinking about an escape plan. You have to start thinking about ending that current distress, because as long as that distress continues, you're going to keep going in circles. You can learn skills. You can do everything right. You can fight. But if it's this cycle of the same thing over and over in this dangerous situation, I don't believe the outcome is going to change until you leave that dangerous situation. I went 1,200 miles away when I was 24 years old with a 6-year-old. I was a single mother. And that's the first time that I left my dangerous situation, which was my mind. I had to leave and start over. And people thought I was running away. And they just knew I was going to kill myself in another state and nobody would be there for my daughter or whatever it was. And it's what ended the first round for me. It is taking control and leaving what I now know was a seriously dangerous situation for my mind. And then the second time, I walked away from almost every single thing that I owned. I gave away everything I had ever worked for because I had to start over, and that was the only way I was able to accomplish that goal. So I promise you, you've got to leave the dangerous situations and commit to yourself because it is worth it. Number 3, halt. I need you to remember the word halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. If any of those things are happening, do not make decisions. Don't make decisions. Don't follow your emotions. Correct those things before you make decisions. And if your mind is spiraling out of control, if you allow yourself to get too hungry, you will start acting differently. If you're angry, when you're angry, you can't have a conversation. You can't make decisions. You can't sort things out. When you're lonely, I realize, I live alone. I'm lonely. Lonely doesn't necessarily mean you have to be surrounded by people or that you have to have a partner or a spouse or any of those things. Lonely just means have someone to lean on. And if you don't have a family member, that's, you can use family members, friends. If you don't have anyone, there are support groups. There are support groups for absolutely everything. If you feel lonely and you need to fill your soul with people and to talk it out, find someone to do that and trust that with. And tired, get enough sleep. I was reading one of my journals, and I think they had told me never sleep more than the 8 hours. Try to get, and never less than 5 hours, and get somewhere in between. And it is really important because and you think about that, it just remember that, halt, stop, because hungry, angry, lonely, tired, all have an impact on your emotions, and that's what we're trying to control here. We want to get our emotions under control so that we can make decisions that are good for us and give us this life worth living. Number 4, journal. I don't care how you journal. I journal in so many different ways. I have handwritten journals. I have tons and tons of journals. I text myself. everything that I am telling you, everything that I'm teaching you is you're going to think about these things and you need to reflect on them. The only reason that I was able to tie all of my pieces together and figure out the things I'm able to tell you is because I had documented so much of it. And I didn't write every day. No way. I wasn't responsible enough for that. That's like a commitment. I don't commit. I randomly write wherever the day takes me, but it helps. It makes me think about what I'm doing. Even if you journal, I text myself. I really do. If I'm driving or I'm out and I don't have a pen and paper, I will text myself so that I can remember thoughts or things that come up. Through this whole process, something's going to come out of my mouth that you're going to think about, and it's going to trigger something that's going to trigger life for you. And that's what this is all about. So I am telling everyone today, you need a journal on this journey. So, number 5, be ready. This is a big one. You've got to empty your backpacks right now. Done. No guilt, no shame, no judgment of yourself or others. That has to stop. Dump it out of your backpack right now. I truly believe that guilt and shame and self-judgment led to every one of my suicide attempts. It was this vicious cycle, this vicious circle. And I'm telling you right now that, in my opinion, at least 50% of whatever is wrong with your life probably was not your fault. I kind of always have said, 50% bad luck, 50% bad decisions. I don't really know, but I know with certainty way too much of it is not your fault. And even if it is your fault, who cares? You're done. No guilt, no shame, no judgment. Cannot go on this trip. Dump it out now. Number 6, and this is huge, and actually this is how we're going to end tonight probably. The timer's going to go off, and I'm going to go over 15 minutes probably, but no expectations. No expectations for yourself. No expectations for others. No matter what happens, we're going to make it to the top. Expectations of self and others is not the same as having goals and striving for excellence and bettering yourself. 5 years ago, at this exact moment, I was still in a coma. I had attempted suicide last week. January 24th was January 24th, 2013 was the last time I tried to kill myself. And I was still in a coma on this day. And I found this notebook, and this is why I told you, I just closed the page, but this is why I told you, journal, because I wrote in here the first day after I woke up. And it's interesting because the expectations were already on my list, and I happened to write the word hate. I hated myself, and I hated the man, and I hated God. Honestly, I hated God because I woke up. I couldn't believe it. And I wrote this acronym, HATE, having absolute terminal expectations. Think about that. I had terminal expectations. I had terminal expectations of myself, my world, my God, everyone. I wanted to die. And that wasn't my choice. And I had to let go of the expectations. And throughout life, even recently, I have expectations still. We have to consistently remember, take a step back, no expectations. Strive for excellence, not perfection. I'll see you next week.